I got a call from my daughter's third grade teacher that she was disrupting class. And I was thinking, oh, that doesn't sound like her. What happened? And the teacher told me that she got out of her seat and started leapfrogging across the room. Hello, everyone out there. This is Miss Dymond, but this is not your typical storytime video. Oh no. Today, I'm going to share some of my time-tested truths that are really cool for today's kids. And today, I really want to talk to the parents out there and share with you a little bit about my backstory, my background, and why I am back to talk to you again about why I do this. So I'm just going to talk a little bit and then share some one or two parenting tips that I found to be really foolproof over the years. So again, just to tell you a little bit about me, I have 3 kids. I really enjoyed raising them. They are wonderful kids. I can honestly say that I didn't have a terrible twos period with any of them, and I didn't have terrible teens either. And that's a blessing, and I can say that about all 3 of them. They were, I want to say seated. That doesn't really sound right for children, but honestly, that's kind of how I think of it. I feel like they were seated with a lot of great information, love, guidelines, and they really just grew up in that same vein. And they are still that way to this day. Now, that doesn't mean that they were issue-free, but they were definitely problem-free. And many people, my friends, my close friends, people I socialize with, have commented that it's quite an anomaly to do that. So I'm here. I've shared with you, why I do story time, because I do love kids and I really want to just help them be the very best that they can be. And obviously the primary way to do that is through awesome parenting. One of my time-tested truths that I enjoy is simple sayings that I feel like have a lot of weight and meaning. And one of them is that my mom used to tell me all the time, you made your bed, now you gotta lie in it. And I did use that a lot with my kids. You make your bed, now you gotta lay in it. It just means that you've made a decision and now you have to accept the consequences. Or you've taken an action and now you have to accept the responsibility for that action. And kids quite young get the meaning of this. You make a choice, so now you have to stick it out with that choice. You get the consequences of that. Action, reaction. However you want to break it down many different ways, they really get it. So if I tell them you have to clean your room, you have to clean your room every Saturday morning. And if you don't clean your room on Saturday morning, you will get consequences. They always want to know, well, what's that going to be? And I usually tell them, I don't know. It depends on the week. It may mean you don't get to go to the birthday party. If someone's having one, it may mean that your phone gets taken. It may mean a bunch of things. I don't know right now, but there will be some consequence if your room isn't made up on Saturday mornings by such and such a time. And you have to stick with this. So when they don't make up their room that Saturday, you don't tell them in advance that they're not going to go to the party or they're not going to go out for pizza with everyone else or they don't get to go out to the movies the following Tuesday. You just let them do what they do. And then when it comes time for everyone to go, sorry, you don't get to go because you didn't make up your room. They're going to be very upset about that. And what I noticed my kids would try to do is run and make their bed up or clean their room in a hurry so they can get to go. I found it difficult to say no to them, but not really, because I realized that by saying no to these little things now, they'll get it, and we won't have to worry about this 5, 6, 7 years down the line. And generally speaking, that was the case. But it does take a lot of consistency, sticking to your word even when it hurts. Meaning telling them no, they can't go to their best friend's party, or, no, you can't participate in this trip that you really wanted to go on because for the last 2 weekends you haven't made up your bed, you haven't cleaned your room. I didn't always tell them immediately what the punishment was going to be. Again, they have to have that element of surprise, that element of not knowing what's coming. Otherwise, they're going to try to gauge, well, I don't need to clean my room this weekend because the punishment is A, B, and C, and I don't really care about A, B, and C anyway. Which leads me to the next point, which is try to make the punishment something that really hurts. And that may sound cruel, but especially in those early years, the more you really make it hurt, the more they will remember it. And remember that you mean business when you tell them to do something or to study or whatever it is you tell them to do, and they don't do it, it's going to come with consequences. And it doesn't just have to be you. It could be something their teacher tells them to do and they didn't do, something that the school rules said weren't allowed. They did it, having them face consequences. Just being consistent with that. I'm all for a conversation with them, talking to them, helping them understand why these rules are in place. Generally speaking, if the rules are in place for a good reason, if the rules that you put out make sense and they understand them initially, then they just have to abide by them, and they get consequences when they don't. Now, I'm not a terrible person. There are times when you have to know your child. So I'll give you an example. I got a call from my daughter's third grade teacher that she was disrupting class. And I was thinking, oh, that doesn't sound like her. What happened? And the teacher told me that she got out of her seat and started leapfrogging across the room. And I said, oh boy, okay, I'll definitely speak with her this evening. So when my daughter came home, I asked her how was school. She said, great, I had a great day. She told me about it. She seemed in a really good mood. So I asked her, well, your teacher called me today and said you leapfrogged across the room. Why did you do that? Yes. Why did you do that? And her response was, because I was happy. And I had to admit, I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that expression of pure joy coming from an 8-year-old who just was joyous and happy, couldn't hold it anymore, and leapfrogged across the room. So we had our talk, and I let her know that although she was expressing her fullness of joy and happiness, that was very disruptive to the teacher, and the teacher didn't like that. She got it, and I let her know if it happened again, there would need to be some consequences. But this first time, I completely understand. But I let her know, be sure to express yourself and be joyous out on the playground, after school. I want you to be joyous and happy, and you should definitely take time to be happy and express yourself. But just do it at lunchtime or after school. And she was A-okay with that. So that's what I mean when I say make sure they understand the rules. They understand. Certainly give grace where grace is needed because they didn't understand something or they didn't know something or they thought what they were doing was the right thing to do. We always want them to follow the guidance of their heart and do what they feel is the right thing to do. But if they know it's not the right thing to do and they know it's against rules and principles, then try to really stick to those consequences. That consistency will help your kids to do what's required of them. And to know that when they don't, there's going to be some sort of, I don't want to say punishment, but just reaction. For every action, there's a reaction. They're going to learn that in science, and hopefully they learn that at home with you. So everything that we teach our kids really becomes part of their blueprint for life. What they see at home, they're going to expect to see at the next person's home or in school or in the workplace. Home is a training ground. So we should model that whenever we get the chance. And I love these little idioms or phrases like you make your bed, you lie in it, or for every action there's a reaction, so that they stick in their heads. You know, you can repeat it over and over again when you're talking to them. It'll stick in their heads and they will have this guideline to go by. Essentially, we teach them how the world works. We teach them how the world works by what we do, by what we say. And as you know, I'm sure, kids learn a lot more by what they see than by what you say. And we'll save that for another video. But if you say there's going to be a punishment for this, do carry through and follow through. Otherwise, you're teaching them that rules don't matter. So if they hear, turn this in by Friday, or you'll get a grade drop, they may think, oh, that's what he said, but I'll turn it in Monday and see. Why? Because growing up, consequences were always loose. And they're going to feel like other people are that way as well. So just remember that you are giving them the training ground for the rest of their life experiences, and try to keep those rules and guidelines consistent when you talk to them. I recall a kid, this kid wasn't my kid, but a friend of mine's kid, who was consistently losing lunch money. The child would come home and say, Mom, can you give me $5? I have to pay my teacher back. Why do you need to pay your teacher back? Because I forgot my lunch money and she bought me something for lunch. You know, next week, Mom, can you give me $8? Why do you need $8? Because I forgot my lunch and so-and-so bought me lunch, I have to pay them back. So this went on for quite a while. So I told my friend, why don't we do this? Why don't we let your son know, if you lose your lunch money again, you're just going to have to go to the cafeteria and get the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So at this kid's school, anybody who didn't have lunch could just get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. No charge. That's what they had, peanut butter and jelly. So he came home again and said, Mom, I need $5 to pay back so-and-so because I didn't have any lunch money. And she said, no, you have to take that out of your allowance or out of your money. What do you mean? It was for lunch. You always pay for my lunch. Yeah, but next time you're going to have to hold on to your money or you just eat the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. She didn't give him the money. I think he tried it one more time, and after that, that was it. That was it. So somehow he was able to keep up with his lunch money because he knew that he knew that the consequence was that he wasn't going to get reimbursed. And whoever he was borrowing money from, even if it was from himself, he wasn't going to get that money back. So it ended. Just like that. As we think about this saying or this guideline, as you make your bed, so you lie in it, let's not get too far to the left or to the right. And just remember the spirit of this is that for everything you do, you're going to have some result. You do something wonderful, hopefully there's going to be some great result that comes from that. You do something not so wonderful, there's also a result. It's physics. It's science. Every action has a reaction. And that's really the principle that you want your kid to understand. I read an article in Psychology Today. To me, it was very far out there. But what the article was saying was that we shouldn't tell our kids that because it leaves them with little choice or limited choices. Meaning, okay, so you did this, now these are your choices. I'm never saying that your choices are limited. What I'm saying is that this is my rule or this is my guideline and this is how this house is run. When you go to school, there's going to be a way that the schoolhouse is run. And when you get a job, there's going to be a way that the job is run. Or even in your own business, if you fail to do X, then perhaps your employees fail to do Y. there's just going to be a consequence to what you do. So think about the next step when you're at the current step. And you can give them that sense of purpose and ownership. And that's very empowering when you can say, you know what, this week you did all your chores, you took out the trash, you even did a little extra. I really appreciate that. Let me reward you. I see your good actions and I want to reward you with a positive consequence. So it's really just to help them solidify that idea of sowing and reaping, or making a decision and living with the consequences, or taking an action and dealing with the fruit of that action or the result of that action. I hope you enjoyed that. And that's it for today's episode of Miss Dymond's Time Tested Truths for Today's Kids. See you next time. Bye-bye.